Oscars. Did you guys watch? Do you guys care?
did.
Mm-hmm.
I care.
Do you think the right person won? The right people won? Where we at?
I would say that my personal picks did not win for many things.
Okay.
But I'm not angry with many things. A few things I think were the wrong choice and should not have won. But Anora winning Best Picture, I'm not mad about it. It's a really good movie. Like,
what shouldn't have won, Tim?
Anything that fucking Amelia Perez. It's a terrible movie. Like, I'm sorry, it's terrible. Maggie and I Maggie was drunk, but we like got in a fight about what you literally just talked about with like Leo DiCaprio and blah 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 blah. She was like, so you're not saying, I'm like, she didn't have the best supporting performance of the year. She should not have won the Oscar. And for Zoe Saldana. And Maggie goes, well, it was just like a career thing. I'm like, but the award isn't best career supporting performances.
But
and I even said, I was like, and even then, I love Zoe Saldana. Yeah. Does she have a career that demands a career Oscar the way that Leo or Denzel did?
Yeah.
But I told her very flat out, I was like, I hate the fact that like that is even a thing that we are okay with for some reason. Like, oh well, you know, he was good in this movie, and I guess we'll give him the Oscar. But even though he should have won it for whatever. So
like you're starting a never-ending chain, because if you're giving it to her as a thing, then you just took it away from someone who you now have to reward later.
Correct.
Well, I will say, supporting actress is probably one of the weaker categories.
It was a very weak
of the year. So
it was a very weak category.
If that movie was going to win something, fine. I would say overall, this is the first year in a while where I walked away feeling pretty much okay with everything. Like, there was nothing where I was like, oh, why did this win, or why did this
win? There were things for me like Anora winning director, editing, picture. Sure. Does it deserve to win the screenplay? I think there were other screenplays that were better that were nominated, but it also winning that doesn't totally frustrate me. Do I think The Wild Robot was better than Flow? Yes. Is Flow a phenomenal movie? Yes. So like, it's that give and take every year of like, do I think that this thing should have won? Like, Dune Part 2 was my favorite movie of the year. It was nominated. I knew it was never going to win. I was rooting for Conclave. It didn't win. But this was a weird year where nothing was totally in the bag. Like, I was going into the show thinking The Brutalist was going to win Best Picture. Mm-hmm. And then just based on A, the movie is really good. B, the politics of the movie are very hot right now. Mm-hmm. And C, it is the type of movie the Academy would normally vote for. It just so happens.
I heard you're still watching it.
What?
I heard you're still in the middle of watching it.
I've seen it twice too.
You have 8 years to spare.
And but it just so happens that the politics and everything of Anora won it out, which again, Nick, shut up. I say that because I said the word politics, saying that like as one of the caveats of like, there are the big three that I think were Anora, Conclave, and The Brutalist. And I think all three are really good movies, and also all do have political things behind them.
That's fine.
Yeah.
But if the winner is the one whose politics are the most relevant...
No, that's not what I meant. That's what
it sounded like you said.
No, I don't mean most relevant. I just mean like that was the one that won it out in the end. Like, not necessarily most relevant, but just the one that the most people voted for.
I feel an Oscars rant coming, but Kirk, before I do that, how was the show in general?
I liked it.
The Oscars used to be my Super Bowl. Like, I used to wait for the like I did all of the polls and everything like that, and I used to like cancel plans for Oscars night so I could sit and watch. And then there were a couple years that made me never want to watch again. But like,
Conan was great.
I've always liked Conan.
Yeah. Conan is a boss, and he was phenomenal.
Yeah, I think Conan did a really good job. It was a very specifically Conan O'Brien show. Like, he had his stamp on it, but
it was not political at all either.
No, but at the same time, I think he did a really good job of understanding that, like, normies, people who would, sit around and watch the Oscars aren't necessarily his audience. And I think he understood that, and I think he had like a patience for the audience, and
sure,
kind of like was like there's like I think in general there's a humility about that guy, but I think in this specifically where it was like, this is me and this is my humor, and if you don't get it, screw off. You know what I mean? Like, I think he was very patient. Like, he would tell a joke and kind of sit on it and be like, at certain points he would like explain the joke like enough to like make sure people like were keeping up with him. But I think he did a really good job. I was sad that I really wanted John Mulaney after his bit last year. I really would like to see him host.
I think he will eventually.
I don't know what the bit is, but I love John Mulaney.
But I think just having people who like appreciate movies is a really good job. Is a really good idea, and like people who aren't going to be like sarcastic about it and like just be like, oh, this is also stupid. Why would you bother with any of this? I think Conan likes movies. I think Conan enjoys like.
Yes.
I think he appreciates like the pageantry and the seriousness of it, but can still like poke fun at it and like strikes that balance really well.
Exactly. Well, and it's because of his job. Like, I think for how long Conan was on TV, he watched so many movies to interview so many people. He's obviously been in movies. Like, he was a writer on The Simpsons and stuff. Like, he knows the media.
Like Green Lantern in the Lego Batman movie, or the Riddler, not Green Lantern.
He's the Riddler. And so like he knows the business and knows everything. And I think Kirk's right. He has an appreciation and he knows how to poke fun without being a dick. The difference between him and Jimmy Kimmel is that when Jimmy Kimmel hosted, and I actually like Jimmy Kimmel, I don't like Jimmy Kimmel that much lately. I think he's kind of turned into a whiny type of guy. But when he hosted, I actually enjoyed it for the most part, but he was kind of a dick with the way he poked fun at the movies. I think Conan made fun of some people, and he made fun of like Dune by having the sandworm out there playing the piano, but that shit was hilarious. Or he did the whole bit with Adam Sandler, like that was super funny.
That was great, yeah.
So I think that like he had the perfect balance of like the most over the top thing he did all night was make fun of Carla Sofia Gascon, and he did it to their face.
That was the least over the top thing ever. Like,
correct, and that's my point, is that it was a very like neutral,
safe. No, not neutral, but safe.
I'm not saying that. I meant the whole show. Like,
sure. So I guess the rant begins. Not really, because I'll start by saying I actually like Conan a lot. I've always liked Conan. I don't like many late night hosts, or really many people they've gotten to host the Oscars, quite frankly. But I think Conan was a safe choice, and I think the fact of the matter is the Oscars lose viewers every year. Like, and this year was no exception. I'm not one of these people that says you need to nominate the biggest movies for the awards.
Sure.
And in fact, I think when they start doing that just for that sake is when I know, like, I mean, I already believe they don't mean anything, quite frankly, but that's when I know that do they even watch the movies, or are they just trying to get more people to watch because they're losing money and audience and whatnot? So I think Conan was a safe choice. I think the show, as you say, Tim, was not very political because everyone got the memo of, hey, you are driving more and more people away to the point where we're not going to be able to do this anymore. So go up there, shut up, thank your friend, and get off the stage. So that's what I think happened. Now, didn't watch the whole show. I was at my lovely future in-laws' house for my future mother-in-law's birthday, who I love very much. I love both of my in-laws. But my future, like her aunt and uncle were there as well, who I also love. But they were all like, let's go watch the Oscars in the other room. And I was like, oh, God, no, I've avoided this for 5 years. I didn't even remember the Oscars were that night. He was like, holy shit, this is the last thing I want to do. And if you guys are watching this, nothing personal. I just don't like the Oscars. So when y'all suggested it, I was like, oh, my God, get me the hell out of here. We had to go early anyway, so that's good. But yeah, I was watching it just being like, oh, please don't piss me off. And I'm sorry. Watching the red carpet, watching everything, that group of people is becoming more and more the capital of the Hunger Games every day. Not even a joke. Not even just because of the way they're dressed, but because they think they're so much better than everybody else. And I just cannot stand watching it. All is to say, this award show is supposed to be, let's reward the best movies and best performances and best whatever. Even if I don't agree with it, as long as I believe you're doing that, and that's the spirit of why you're doing that, I can get behind the show. Sure. That has not been the reason for a long time, and they admitted it this year. Whatever you think, not to bring up politics, we don't have to go into a political discussion, but whatever you think about Trump, they literally came out and said, we're nominating Amelia Perez for all of these Oscars as a protest to Trump. And I said, what the fuck does that have to do with
Who said that?
Someone in the Academy. I don't remember their name, but I remember reading.
I haven't heard that.
They came out and said, this is in direct protest to the election of Donald Trump. And I said, why?
I did not know that. That's fair.
And I think you're right. Everything was in the air. I don't think it was really in the air, because I think Amelia Perez was about to win all of those awards until they dug up some old tweets.
Well, a lot of people thought that.
Of course, and the fact that it's all but confirmed has ruined the Oscars for me. Now you two are strong gentlemen who are firm in your opinion, and I can have a different opinion than you, and you can still have your opinion because you're not easily swayed by others. But that's why I'm just like, dude, I'm done with this whole thing. Even the Oscars, like, I find more fucking legitimate, because I believe, actually, I don't believe, sorry, Coho, but I think you're just voting for whatever you think will make you look the best. But I find those more legitimate than the actual Oscars. Here's the thing. A lot of talented people. Watching Cynthia Erivo and Ariana Grande sing was freaking awesome.
Yeah, they were great.
Absolutely incredibly talented people, but I couldn't help but think, aren't you the lady that got mad at someone for making a fan poster for covering up your eyes?
That's true. That did happen.
And then I watched 2 seconds of like an IndieWire interview with her, and the first question was like, do you get stage fright? And Ariana Grande was like, yes. And then the guy in the movie, whoever plays the Figaro in the movie, was like, yes, I get stage fright. And Cynthia Erivo was like, no, you guys get stage fright? That's so weird. I just never get stage fright. And I was like, can you pretend you're not like pretentious?
Well, I mean, I'll
know you, but you're affecting my life, and I wish you wouldn't, but stop.
Yeah, anyway, my thing is, like, I agree with you, and I avoid, like, I don't watch the red carpet, because I, in general, for better or worse, try to separate art from the artist and then just enjoy the work.
Sure.
And you can't, like, social media, everything, you can't avoid everything, but I try to know as little about these people and their lives as I can, because it helps and it makes the stuff more enjoyable. As far as the awards, yeah, I agree with you. I mean, whatever it is, whether it's politics or just personal, whatever, back in the 90s when, Miramax and Weinstein would just, campaign and manipulate things so his movies would win.
Yeah. I didn't even get to that, but yeah, you're so right.
I mean, there's just so many things, like, and I'm with you. It'd just be what's the best movie this year? And I remember I'd say, what was it? Was it 2 years ago that Everything Everywhere at Once won?
Yes, 2 years.
Yeah. I think that was the worst, like the most egregious year, because if you look at all of those, like,
I love the movie.
I'm not bad mouthing that movie, but if you look at the 4 acting categories, no one in those 4 acting categories, I'm sorry, deserved to win.
So hang on, it was
Michelle
Yeoh, Raekwon, Michelle Yeoh, Jamie Lee Curtis.
I'll give you Jamie Lee Curtis
and what's his name?
Oh, Frasier, right?
Frasier, yeah.
Oh,
and my thing is like Michelle Yeoh, great job, but what Cate Blanchett did in Tar was a completely different universe from what anybody else did that year.
I agree.
Then I think with
top
Ki Hai Kwan, I'm sorry for mispronouncing his name, Brendan Fraser and Jamie Lee Curtis, it was just, they were pity Oscars. Like, these are people who've been around for a long time. Jamie Lee Curtis never got nominated. Brendan Fraser had some bad experiences and people felt bad for him. So
Curtis winning was a surprise to a lot of people too.
Yeah, it was. Like, I didn't hate her. The only performance I thought was actually bad and shouldn't win anything, shouldn't even nominate, obviously, was Brendan Fraser because he's a terrible actor. But
you hate him. No,
he's so just a block of wood.
Who else was nominated in that category then?
It was for both guys from Banshees of Inisherin, I think were nominated.
Colin Farrell should have won.
Yeah, Colin Farrell, should have won.
Yeah.
But again, if you go back and you read those anonymous interviews they do, it was basically like, we feel bad for them, we want to see them get more work, that kind of stuff. Dude, it's like, just make it about the award. Just make it about.
It means nothing now.
Yeah.
And I think honestly, like, at this point too, like, we've seen it change so much. Like Kirk said, in the 90s, like, campaigning, people doing the campaign stuff. I am okay living in some people aren't, and that's fine. Like, Nick clearly isn't okay living in the world where this is the way the Oscars are, so he doesn't want
living in it.
Correct. I'm saying, like, I'm okay living in that world. Sorry,
I'd rather have an Oscars that I can feel
Bobby
confident
just sent me a very important message and I got distracted. I'm okay knowing that and still watching the show and enjoying it. But I totally get why people like Nick don't want to watch that, and it infuriates them. Like, I see both sides of it. Now, what I don't like are the people who refuse to see what we are pointing out. Mm-hmm. Like, I think, like, there are people who are like, well, no, like, this is Amelia Perez is obviously the best film of the year. Like, dig it down. But there's one of those movies every year. Mm-hmm. But everyone has differing opinions on movies, and that's part of it too, in the sense that, like,
correct.
For me, when Avatar: The Way of Water was nominated for Best Picture, I was over the moon, and Kirk probably wanted to shoot his brains out. So, like, it's such a fickle beast all at the same time.
And I think, I'd like it too. Like, and I'm not saying this was the case last year, but it was so boring last year because it was like predetermined Oppenheimer was going to
win everything.
You know what I mean? And it's like, whatever you think about that movie, it was like really dull. Just say, okay, Oppenheimer, like, just got to be like coordinated. Like, it was decided like a year in advance that was going to win everything.
Has there ever been another year where that's kind of been a thing, where it's just been like so like ahead of time? We've just like,
I feel like with Return of the King, it was kind of decided that, like, Peter Jackson was going to get his flowers for the trilogy.
That's fair.
I think that's the last time. That's the last time anybody won that much. I can't think of another year where there's been, but every once in a while you get like that one where it's like Titanic was one. I think Silence of the Lambs was like that. It's just, you get that movie where, and again, like I said, I just enjoy going into the night not being sure. I think that's what's the most fun. It's like I said, we knew in July of 2023 that Oppenheimer was going to sweep the Oscars, and that's just that makes it kind of boring.
That's not fun. Yeah, that's
fair.
I
will just say it really quick. It infuriates me so much because I used to love it, and because I would love a genuine award. I love the awards. I do them for this trivia thing we do. Like, I love awards. I love rewarding people, but it has to be coming from a place where, even if I don't agree with you, I believe you're voting for that for the reason that it's the best, not for the reason that there aren't enough women nominated for the director category. So next year we got to have at least 3 women. And it's like, great, Greta Gerwig probably could have got there on her own, but now half the freaking country thinks she only got there because of the shit you said. So way to go. Anyway.
That's fair.